So the one I was going to tell you guys that I figured out yesterday, because I was cleaning my office and I put some oils in my diffuser. I put bergamot and Spanish sage in my diffuser.
Mhm.
Holy moly, that smells so clean and
Really?
nice. Like I was cooking in the rest of the house, and so it smelled like, beef stew out there. But when I would come into my office, it was like walking into a garden of clean. Like, oh, so I was make sure you guys knew about that. I really like them.
So can you clean diffusers with vinegar?
I clean mine with rubbing alcohol.
Because I have the diffuser, but it's not, it's flooding the bottom, so it won't work.
Oh yeah, just wipe it out. I stopped using vinegar in my diffuser because it made it stink. So I switched to rubbing alcohol.
So it was bergamot and what? Bergamot
Spanish sage. Yeah. I got
a hold of the Northern Escape last week, and that smells so good to me right now. Of course, it's not available unless you get a diffuser, and I don't want another diffuser.
So, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good, actually. My son and his friend went away for the weekend, and Saturday was a little testy because they're towing a trailer back and the lights weren't hooked up, and my husband was just totally he just lost control. He couldn't believe, he didn't know why his son wasn't responsible, and yada 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 yada. And they didn't know that the wire for the wiring harness wasn't long enough to reach her truck. But it turns out that he just kind of went off the handle for no reason. That's when I diffused that night Serenity, Balance, and Northern Escape. And the next day, he was totally handled. He's just so emotional.
Like he was afraid, right? I mean, he's a truck driver.
Well, yeah, and we've trailered things our whole lives, and you just don't, when the winds are like 25, 40 mile an hour gusts. In fact, they were going back to Utah, and they couldn't go on the I-80. With this little empty trailer. It was a toy trailer, but it was empty. It's just, we're very to our fault conscientious, and you do things a certain way and you do things the right way. And
yeah. Could you identify what you're feeling right now?
Well, okay, so then we sat down because we did our pre-voting. We went and voted on Friday, and we sat down, and it wasn't until we sat down and he actually started to talk. I thought he was mad at me too. And it wasn't until we actually sat down and talked, I realized that he was just mad with that whole trailer situation, and he wasn't mad at me. Because I always feel like I'm going to go get in the doghouse for some reason. So I just kind of, I should have gotten the wheel out and figured out what he needed that day. But I didn't. We're busy doing things and whatever. I should have taken that initiative because it would have been easier on me as well. And when my emotions were just kind of water off the duck's back. I don't know if you'd call it denial or what it is. But in the when you're codependent, you feel like you're responsible for other people's feelings sometimes.
Or all the time.
Yeah. So I just let that go. But it was unfortunate that one of the days that he was home was kind of botched. I don't know. I'll get there.
Yeah.
Just didn't have everything, and but his last day home Saturday was fine. It was fine and relaxed, and at least that's the note you want to end on. But yeah, I could have, should have, would have. You know, when you have things to do and you're moving all over, you can't like sit in front of a diffuser. I guess I could have just got the oil and put it on him. I always think of diffusing because I don't. When I put oils on my wrists, it makes my whole arm itch. I'm just real sensitive to oils, even the roller balls. So that's basically, I should have.
Would
done
you
that.
like would you like some feedback?
Yes.
I want to help you with figuring out, like, separating yourself from other people's feelings and your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You've adhered yourself to your husband being okay and that's when you allow yourself to be okay. Like I heard you say Saturday was a good day, and that made you, because of his being okay.
Yeah, because I just I don't like it when he doesn't feel okay. You know, when you love somebody, you don't like it when they don't feel well, whether it's mentally or whatever. So I guess that's kind of a gray area as far as my way of dealing with other people's emotions, because I didn't feel responsible for it, but I just had to just let it go and not affect me.
Yeah.
But I still would have liked to have fixed that situation, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I mean, I haven't heard you actually say what you feel. You've really only talked about your husband's feelings and managing his feelings.
how I feel now, or how I felt then.
How you felt over the weekend, because I'm listening to you keep saying should. I've heard should at least half a dozen times, and what that tells me is that you're not giving yourself that love, that space, to just, like, what if everyone in the house is not okay? What would happen? And it's not in your control for them to be okay.
It kind of happened. I mean, that was kind of what happened Saturday morning when no, actually it was Friday.
So if everybody's emotions
I ignore it. Yeah, I ignore it. Because I couldn't do anything about it.
So this is the time for the serenity prayer, where
I feel like I'm walking on eggshells basically during those times.
Yeah.
And I feel like at any reason, anytime, it's like Russian roulette, you know. It's like I'm gonna get.
I think it's because you've taken on full responsibility for them being okay, and they have this subconscious free license to blame you for when they're not okay, that it must be something you did. And I would love it if we could release you from that burden.
But a lot of times they don't even accuse me, but I feel like I don't even want to ask. I'm afraid to ask, you know.
It's a boundary issue. You've enmeshed yourself with their well-being just by, like, okay, well, I'm waiting for my husband to get home from his truck driving stuff. Is he going to see me for the work I did this week? Is he going to acknowledge what I did here? Like, you want this you want him to see you when he gets home, and then when he's angry, you don't feel seen, and then you're hopeful that you'll have a good day before he gets back on the road, and
Yeah.
then your son and I mean, I'm hearing a lot of what's going on in the house, but it doesn't feel like there's a safe space for just you. Like, where is there just Deirdre and like, well, where you allow other people to do what they need to do without your involvement. Which is really like almost when I first heard like, what do you mean that like that I've enmeshed myself with other people? I had no idea how to detach that in a way that was not uncaring. Like, how do you separate yourself from people without being uncaring? Does that sound like what you're feeling? Like, if you were to say, well, like, this is what you're dealing with right now, and this is what I'm doing over here,
I
so
kind of just avoid the dust storm.
yeah, I don't want you to feel like the like you said,
Like I'm hiding all the time.
you're hiding behind your stuff and keeping busy over here, and then when they come home, then you like attach to like what their needs are, and it's not something that can go on, I think. Like, when you finally have time by yourself, is everyone out of the house right now? Is that why you're okay?
Well, my husband's gone, but I'm telling you, when he leaves, it's like a breath of like, it's almost like relief when he leaves.
Yeah, because then you
Because he's like so he's so like dependent, and it's like I have to do things with him when he comes home. It's like it's just this dependency cycle that I have built because I always was there and I always did, and now they're like, Mom, where's this? And they always come to me for answers, and sometimes I don't have answers.
Well, I think it would be helpful to figure out like where I'm trying to remember what workbook I saw that. It's in the ACA workbook, where you figure out what your role, who cast you in what role. Like, in your original family unit, what was your role? And then in this family unit is your role. Like, I know, like, if I think about it, like my role as in my original family unit is the clown. I'm the clown. What else am I? I'm the youngest. I guess I'm the confidant. It's for my older sister and for my younger sister. I was like someone that was safe to talk to because I'm good at keeping secrets. So you kind of figure out like, so what am I in my family? Like, I'm supposed to be like this really great mom and this really great wife. And I'm not seen as that by my husband. And I can't control what his opinion of me is. So
Well, it's kind of like they do see me as that, and I don't want to be that anymore. I think
yeah.
we're all adults.
So it's just there's a lot of dynamics, and it would be helpful if you wrote down like your kind of like what would you like your family dynamic to be, and what would you like the communication lines to be like what are your boundaries? Like, when people come home, what, like, okay, so I just say, hey, I've noticed when you come home from your trip that like now, like everything I have to go along with everything that you're doing. And I'm sure it's because he's been gone and he wants to spend time with you, but maybe it's not clear. Like, there's some undercurrent of expectations versus like what's obvious, and then for you feeling like you need to prove something to these people, that's old stuff from before, like for my husband, I had a deep need to make him proud of me, but it wasn't really me wanting my husband to be proud of me. It was because I wanted my dad to be proud of me. But I hitched it to my husband. And so it's like figuring out like who did you attach to the real people in your life? You know, what are the things you want for yourself, but you want other people to see it. So it's a good thing to go and write that down. Like, okay, like just for simplicity in this moment, like think of what are the roles your family members play for each other right now, like in your household. So I'm just going to make a circle and I'm going to put people's names, and I might have to think about this a little longer, you know. Like my husband's the disciplinarian, and then I'm the one that is the comforter. So, and it shocks my husband when I do discipline. He's like, oh, well, you're not like, I thought we had it down. I'm bad cop and you're a good cop. Like I could see like it kind of like makes him take aback, you know, like when you change roles. So if you could figure out what they are and then maybe talk and communicate with your family members about like, well, this is what I'm thinking, like, what do you think your role is? And what would you like to change? Maybe they don't want to be cast in the role they're cast in now, because then everybody can decide they want to shift. You know, most people don't like the role they've been cast in. Like, and they want
Does
to be.
the ACA book have a list of roles? Because I don't know where to start.
Yeah, here, you know, I'm going to start I built a 12-step program with ACA and Codependence Anonymous and all the things I learned from AA. I put it in one program that's going to be on my website. So I took the best of everything and I put it in there. But if you were going to start with something, like I've got this one here. I think this is one of my favorites.
I have that too.
Here, let me put myself. Okay, so you have it, spotlight. So let me just see. I just start from the beginning. Like, have you written in it yet?
No, I didn't want to. So I don't like to write in things because then I don't know. I feel like I'm ruining them. But if I wrote in pencil, I should just start and read. And
you know what I did? I allowed myself to write in my first one and I bought a new one later.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Who's the author of that, Kim?
There isn't an author. It's a collective. It's from the Adult Children of Alcoholics World Service Organization. But I bought it on Amazon. I think it was like 12, 13 bucks.
The Adult Children of what?
12 Steps of Adult Children.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, and the type of things it goes through, you know, are like, okay, here's a family diagram, labels. It says, think about your experiences or what you have heard about each relative in connection with addiction, religion, relationships, food, sex, work, etc. Place the name of each relative in the diagram with a label which best describes him or her. Relatives can have one or more of the following labels: alcoholic, addict, used alcohol, drugs, enabler. Ooh, who's the enabler? That's my mom. Religious, worked a lot, workaholic, that's me. Undependable, does not follow through. Heavy debt, always borrowed money or big spender. Worried a lot, neurotic. Perfectionist, high strung. I'm going to take a picture of this so I can put it on the screen for you guys. But if you're looking for it, Deirdre, it's page 35. I'll just keep going. Harsh, always critical, verbally abusive, chronically ill, hypochondriac, pill popper, great cook. Oh, there's my mom. Obese sibling, relative, emotionally ill, sickly child, too sensitive. That's me. Always had her face in a mirror, thought she was better than everyone else. Ladies' man, player, gigolo, skirt chaser, sexually aggressive, not safe, violent, slapped others, pinched, threatened, grabbed or wrestled inappropriately, thief, bogus check writer, argumentative, people pleaser, martyr, and loner. It's a little helpful if you weren't, and here's the diagram. And they go back 3 generations. So then you can kind of figure out the dynamic of it. What I find helpful about this process is to not judge yourself for being angry, because you will get mad when you start thinking about it. And then you can work on going, okay, that version of them at that time in that age was the unskilled version of themselves. They may not have ever gotten more skilled, and we just have to see it for what it is. And I know that there are still consequences for how we feel in our nervous system, and that's not to be discounted, that we're dealing with the consequences. But knowing that it's over and we're in the here right now, you know. So
Deidre, one thing that helps me is I got these nasal inhaler. They're blank from Amazon. For anybody that doesn't want to put oils on their skin, and I use a label maker, and I put on there whatever I put in there. So like this one is energizing breeze, and it has 6 drops of lavender, 5 of lime, and 4 of super mint. So if there was something that you wanted your husband to take advantage of, you could put balance and serenity or whatever.
Yeah.
Have an inhaler. You know, he doesn't have to have a diffuser around or whatever. It's something he could take with him. And, you know, when he's on the road and stressed out, or, you know, I have one for like beet cravings. I have one for immunity. I actually teach, that's what I do to teach in my classes. And, you know, how I mostly share oils is because it's something that people can take with them. And they're just, you know, not very expensive at all.
And that's so much easier than making a roller bottle or other sample thing up.
Right. Well, so many people don't want to put oils on their skin, or, you know, they'll say, I bought a roller and I never used it. It sat in the drawer or whatever. But I found that most people that, you know, have the inhalers, and it's just basically a cotton swab, you know, that goes inside of it. And it's just, you know, something.
Yeah, I have some. Yeah, they're easy. I have some of those.
But I just make sure and label them so that, you know what's in them.
thank you for that. It's helpful, Donna.
Yeah, thank you.
I just took I just snapped a picture with my phone so I could share this on my screen. That was the family diagram labels that I listed. And then I can send you I'll take a better picture so it can be printed if you guys want, and the family history diagram
Definitely.
here. Just realizing like that if whatever label you've been casted in, it can be changed. And then using your essential oils, you know, to help like ground yourself in your feelings. Because I know it's easy to get caught up in other people's story and their feelings. So if you can try to like concentrate on what exactly it is that you're feeling. And then you would do that, what's it called? The art of experiencing meditation. So the art of experiencing is, so if you were feeling like afraid or ashamed, things like that, whatever it is that you figure out, then you can breathe more of that in and then exhale out compassion for yourself. Think about the other people in your neighborhood who are feeling that exact same way. Breathe more of that feeling in and then exhale compassion for them. And you just keep making that bigger and bigger until you can feel safe and dissipate. So, I'm feeling, well, we've heard, does that help? Because I'm hoping I mean, that's helping all of us by discussing it. And thank you so much, Deirdre, for being vulnerable and sharing with us, because it does help all of us too. So I appreciate you and thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Does anyone else have something they'd like to share? And we can just listen. If you can identify if you'd like us to just listen or if you'd like feedback, that's helpful for us as recovering codependents.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm very frustrated. Saturday was the first time that I tried to be a vendor and carrying the stuff to the church and helping set it up and everything. I just
Mhm.
realized how much pain it still causes to do that. And I also met with my primary care doctor last week and explained to him my medical situation and with my intestines. And basically, he had a picture on the wall of the intestinal tract, and he, with his finger, went up one side and down the other of the picture, and he goes, I have no clue. He says, what's going on with you makes absolutely no sense to me. So I have an appointment with the surgeon this week. And it just seems like every single person that I talk to that has medical training, their answer to me is what's happening, just physically doesn't make sense to them with all their medical training. So,
That's hard.
hmm.
That's hard.
Well, I'm just frustrated because I mean, at some point, I feel like I know more about the medical situation than all the people that are supposed to be, my go-tos. And then I finally have an appointment on the 15th with pain management. It's taken 2 months now, to even get an appointment. So,
It's very frustrating being at the mercy of the system, and then, they can't understand because they don't live in your body.
well, and I mean, I physically been taking pictures of my poop, to show what's going on because everybody's like, well, there isn't any way that could be happening. So,
Have you ever spoken with my friend Tiffany Jablonski?
uh-huh. Yeah, she's been here, but
Okay.
I haven't talked to her. I haven't talked to her in probably 2 or 3 years.
I'm gonna get you to be able to have a conversation with her and send her the pictures
Okay.
and write out what is going on. She's literally the president of the International Association for Colon Hydrotherapy,
Mm-hmm.
like for the world. Like
Okay.
she knows like what's going on. Like when people tell the stories you're telling,
Mm-hmm.
she's the one person who would have heard it.
Okay.
So I think that would be really helpful for you and
Okay.
invalidating.
Well, that's it. I mean, literally, the GI doctor told me it was a figment of my imagination.
Yeah. Well, it's not. It came out of your butt.
I know.
If it isn't in a textbook that they read at one time, then they may not know what to do, or they may not want to venture. It's like the separation of Western medicine and Eastern medicine. They weren't taught in that realm.
Mhm.
So they're liable for whatever they tell you.
Mhm.
So you have to kind of consider that too. They may want to make a suggestion, but they can't say it because it's not
I'm looking.
what they've learned.
Have you looked, like, have you done the Symphony of Cells protocol for the gut you have? What did you do? Tell me. With
I
the,
don't know. I followed the book.
you did it like 3 days in a row, or you did it internally?
Hmm.
Okay. I have the elements of emotion. This is Desiree de la Luna's
Uh-huh.
book here. I'm just gonna look and see if we can find something.
I mean,
Different.
that's why I told my friend after church yesterday, I said, we just need to go to the beach. I said, I just need to go wander on the beach with the horses and just
Oh yeah.
get away from life. So,
I think that was a really great idea. That's what I would do. I'm looking at the different, she calls them creation cycles. So I'll have to look a little more in here.
okay.
These are interesting. It says, which of the 5 elements leads you? You guys want me to read these two? Because it's kind of interesting.
Mhm.
Okay, a woods element. So this would be a woody person. A personality is demonstrated by someone who is commanding, competitive, decisive, and inspirational. They're excellent at holding a vision and infusing hope in those around them. When this personality is imbalanced, they are prone towards aggression, arrogance, or even indecisiveness. Since their tendency is to create tension and binds their energy, they can benefit greatly by regular movement and activity. Consuming foods that are sour in flavor often soften and smooth the wood's tense energy. You know, this is what this is thinking of before I read more. You know, like in Ayurvedic medicine, like in India, Ayurveda is the study of life, life's energy, life force energy. When you eat improperly for your constitution, it does affect your moods and personality. So it just makes me wonder, like, maybe this is something that we should be thinking about, like discovering our constitution. You know, if you're cooking for other people in your house, like what's their constitution, and maybe like almost like an experiment. Will they be calmer and more at peace if they eat differently? You know, not like we can manage people better that way. Like, you're never going to eat a banana again. But almost, you know, is that the codependent in me thinking that? Can I manage people better if I feed them differently? Interesting. A fire's element personality is demonstrated by someone who is joyful, playful, charismatic, and has a love for connecting with people. When this personality is imbalanced, they can come across as withdrawn, antisocial, or even depressed. Another personality of imbalance is excess sociability with connections that are only surface level, lacking deep roots. A fire element can benefit greatly by balancing their social life and alone time. Consuming foods that are bitter in flavor helps to regulate and harmonize the fire's hyperactive energy. An earth's element personality is demonstrated by someone who is nurturing, thoughtful, caring, and highly empathetic. They are grounding and very supportive. When this personality is in balance, they tend to overthink, worry excessively, and become a people pleaser. Another presentation of this imbalance is being meddlesome in other people's business, which causes drama. An earth element can benefit from avoiding excess sugar and dairy, grounding in nature, and practicing healthy boundaries within relationships. Okay, here's a metals element. Personality is represented by someone who is righteous and spiritual. They often look for high quality items and live by high standards. They love discipline and rules. When the metal element is imbalanced, they can be restrictive and unforgiving. When people do not live up to their expectations, they often disappoint and hold resentment. Another presentation of imbalanced metal is having very low standards, low expectations for the self, and struggling with hoarding. A metal element benefits greatly from breath work, meditation, and avoidance of smoking. A water element's personality is demonstrated by someone who goes with the flow and is adaptable. They are introspective, modest, and sensitive. They know how to manage resources well and how to plan for the future. When a water element is in balance, they can be reckless, seeking to escape life, engaging in high-risk activities, and participating in overindulgence. They can benefit greatly by consuming seaweeds, visiting bodies of water, and floating in a sensory deprivation tank. Well, yeah. I mean, I think all of us have pieces of that. It's like whether or not you,
They have pieces of several of them.
yeah. So it's kind of hard for me to subscribe to like, oh, well, this person is more of this or that. Like maybe they tend toward one or the other. I kind of identified with the water element one because of my like alcoholism and overindulgent personality. But that's more to do with because I worry that I won't get my dessert tomorrow. So anyway, this is interesting, a different point of view, and that's from the Elements of Emotion book. That's Desiree de la Luna. And I can send that in that email as well. So I'll save this page for you guys. So Donna, I'm gonna continue to pray for you. And
Thank you.
we're sending you our love, and we know that what you're dealing with is real.
Thank you.
Yeah. And yeah.
Can I share kind of a neat thing that happened?
Yeah.
There was a man sitting on the beach. He had to use a walker to go down to the boardwalk, and he could get as far as there's like a bench right before you go onto the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And it was his anniversary, and his wife had passed, and he had a Navy hat on. And I said, what did you do in the Navy? Of course, my ex-husband was in the Navy for 24 years. And he said, I was a sonarman. And I said, well, that's what my husband was. I said, did you ever hear of the USS Canoe? He says, I was on the first crew of the USS Canoe. The Canoe is named after my cousin's husband.
Wow.
So that was just the coolest thing. And his son was the first baby born to anybody on the crew of the Canoe. So
Oh,
yeah. So
that's neat.
that was kind of a neat, not a coincidence, because I don't believe in coincidences. I think,
Yeah. Well, I wonder what was the gift, like what did God like? He wanted to make you both feel comforted, or
well, and it was interesting because he had been a public teacher and then went to work and taught at a Christian school for like 36 years, or 36 years he taught and everything. So I don't know. It was a gift for both of us.
so
So,
sweet.
yeah.
I love that. I'm so glad you got to go to the ocean and see the horsies and meet the nice man.
Mm.
Those make for really good days. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm.
Oh, there's something funny. So I told you that my mom's side of the family is from Maryland. Oh, okay, yeah. My grandpa grew up in I forget what town, but I know it's near Baltimore.
Mm.
They lived on near the beach because they'd go every day to go crabbing, and that they'd eat crab every night. And my grandpa was born on the kitchen table, 14 pound. Well, every time they tell the story, he gets bigger. Um, but my ancestor is Jenny Wade. That's the first casualty of war in the first female casualty of war in the Civil War. And my mom and I were looking at the picture of her the other day, and oh my God, it looks just like my mom, and it looks a lot like me. So weird.
Really?
Looking at old pictures. Anyway, so let's see, we got Shannon. Shannon, did you want to share? Are you listening?
I'm just listening in today.
Well, thanks for coming. Yeah, I had an interesting weekend. Nothing eventful, just I was supposed to go see a band in Joshua Tree with a friend of mine, And it's just like a kind of rockabilly bluesy kind of band. And when we get there, we realize it's not, the band isn't the main thing. It was this one-man show. It was a one-man show. It's this funny Mexican guy from New Mexico. Like his parents were Mexican and they live in New Mexico. And he's telling a story of when him and his brothers were so hungry because they were poor and all they ate was beans and rice, that they went to steal chickens from the chicken ranch nearby. And then, but it's a one-man show and he's playing all three brothers and also the devil. So he's like, La Diablo. And every time Diablo would come, through, they'd turn all the lights red. And the face he made was so funny. It was such a pleasant experience. I haven't been to a play in so long, and I'm realizing, like I'm a person in recovery, and I've been recovered for 2 years, and finding things that I love and things that make me happy, like enjoying life. That's the whole point of recovering yourself, is finding the things that you really enjoy and you really like. So I hope that that's something that you guys can find, something silly and fun just for you.
My son came Monday. I hadn't seen him for over a year. And he's 2 years in recovery too. So that was pretty cool.
Yay.
Yeah.
Congratulations for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be one of those women that are like going to the play all the time now. Like I really enjoy performing arts. So
I saw Little Women the musical this weekend.
you did? How fun.
Mm. The community players did it. It was awesome. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad. See that, amongst your illness, you still get to go do like fun things, So
That's my sanity.
yeah. Well, I love you all. And I hope there was things that you got from this. I certainly did. And sending you all my love and comfort.
Thank you.
Kim, are you going to stay on so we can talk about those balls?
Oh, yeah. Do you want me to just call you? Or well, you and I just stay on. I'll stop the recording.
Okay.
Okay. I'll call you, Deirdre.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for coming.
Bye. There's the lead meeting. I'll just do that.
Hi.
Hey.
Did I stop the recording?
No, it's still recording.
Okay.